Hello guys, so welcome to Swing for Pips weekly review, actually end of the week weekly review. This way we come to review what has happened in the past week and what we're expecting for the upcoming week. So this week we'll be talking about DXY, of course, and then the related pairs, Euro USD, Pounds USD, USD CAD. Also talk about the JPY, okay, and the related pairs, which is AD, JPY, Pound JPY, and then the Swiss dollar. Okay, also I'll be talking about the pound CHF, the CAD CHF, and the NZD CHF going forward. So without much ado, I think we should just dive into the subject matter and see what this week is gonna have for us. Okay, so of course, here in Swing for Peace, it's a tradition that we do multiple time frames analysis. Okay, I know that what's usually here from the past or from other mentors is that, okay, you want to do especially those who are focused on technical analysis. Okay, you hear them saying things like, okay, you start from the monthly, the weekly, the daily. That's for those who are into swing trading. But here in Swing for Peace, we try to look at the fundamentals. Okay, the fundamentals always lead the way. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. All right, the fundamental leads the way at every time. All right, so we'll start with the fundamentals. We go to the monthly, the weekly, daily, and of course, the 4-hour. So let's start with the fundamentals. I will be starting with the DXY. Of course, our news feed for fundamental data is Forex Factory. I like the simplicity, very straight to the point. So let's start with what happened, at least from the last, say, like 10 days. That's from the late days of April. Okay, so I want to draw our attention to this report right here once more. Okay, that will be the from 30th. Okay, we are looking at this report right here. That's the GDP report that came out on the 30th of April. Okay, of course, in the GDP, we can see that we had negative 0.3 as against positive 4.2. Okay, like I mentioned in one of the videos, if you check the previous videos I've done, I was trying to explain how not to allow the colors of the data confuse you. Okay, but look at the figure for what they stand for. Okay, look at the figure for what they stand for. If the figure comes out above 0, then it is good for the currency pair. If it comes out below 0, it is bad for the currency pair. So this is the first negative results we are getting since 2022. I think July 2022. Yeah, that's for the second quarter of July 2022. We got a negative figure, but since then, until April, that's the first month of the second quarter, we now got a value of 0.3. So going forward, for us to finalize if the US dollar is going to be heading south for a long time, or it's going to be neutral, or it's going to go on the uptrend, okay, we're looking forward to the next quarter to see what the GDP, okay, have for us. All right, so the next data that I want to look at here is that's the next data is the PMI that came out on the 1st of May. The PMI came out on the 1st of May right here. That's the manufacturing index right here on the 1st of May. Okay, this is the data we have here. This one right here, manufacturing PMI. Okay, you can see that we have 0.48, this 48.7 as against 49. The idea is that if the 50%, okay, 50% is the standard. All right, so if the data comes out below 50%, then the PMI data is poor. If it goes above 50%, then it is positive for the US dollar. All right, so now we go to the next, that's NFP. NFP came out on the 2nd, that's non-farm payroll. Okay, we take the non-farm payroll right here on the 2nd of May. All right, so what do we have for the non-farm payroll? We can see it right here, this guy right here. Okay, so we had 185k as against 177k. Also the same scenario playing out here. Yes, we had positive, we have we have positive according to what other mentors say, all right, positive, but it's not positive for the US dollar, even though it's looking green, all right, doesn't mean that it's positive. Okay, we have to compare to the last data that came out and we saw that it falls short of some figures as compared to the last data. Good. So we now go to the rates, FOMC, that's the rates, the Federal Reserve rates, which came out on the 7th. Okay, we go to the 7th and we see that this is what comes out here. On the 7th, we have this also. The press release. So we had the federal fund rates coming out and also the FOMC on this particular day. All right, so now we can see that the federal fund rates, okay, they've maintained their rate at 4.5% as they promised. Okay, if we go back to Forex Factory and we click on this right here, okay, we can see that they've maintained the rate for since December last year coming into this year. They've actually maintained the rate. Okay, so there's nothing spectacular about the interest rates. So now I think the last report I want to look at here is the FOMC press release that came out. Okay, that was on the 7th also. The FOMC's press statement that came out. So we'll go to this website here and we check. So like I mentioned before, I want to draw your attention here again. Okay, I want to draw your attention to this comment here. All right, where the committee says that the committee seeks to achieve maximum employment and inflation at the rate of 2% over the long run. Okay, and then also another one here that says, okay, the committee assessment to take into account a wide range of information, including reading on labor market condition and inflation pressure. So what actually glean from this is that, look, these guys are now focused on, they are more focused on that's the labor data that will be coming out, because I think the US they are more interested in the employment data that will be coming out going forward. All right, that's what the statement is saying. They are still keeping an eye on inflation figure, but their attention is actually shifting to the labor market, okay, the job opportunities that have been created over time. Because the Trump tariff statement that have been coming out of the US-China war that have been happening have really been taking a very bad toll on the US economy, and the US dollar is not actually looking good right now. Okay, so we'll be looking also for other data coming out to see. Let's see if all right, more negative data will be coming out of the US. Okay, that will actually inform us fundamentally as to whether we should remain bearish or bullish on the US dollar, and for how long can we remain bearish or bullish for the US dollar. Okay, so the last report. So now these are events that actually played out before today. Okay, so of course we'll want to analyze what will be happening in the coming week and the next quarters coming out. So we'll go straight to the 14th of May. That's on Wednesday. Okay, on Wednesday right here we'll be looking at the 14th of May. Sorry, on the 13th rather, on the 13th. Okay, this is what we have on the 13th right here. And this is the highlight here. This guy, okay, the CPI year-on-year report. Okay, even though the forecast is that we're looking at a 4.2 forecast, which may not be a serious deviance from the last report, but we're still looking at it to see whether to create some volatility in the market. Okay, so now fundamentally speaking, what we glean from this is that, look, the US dollar is not doing too well, and you shouldn't be holding the dollar on a buy for this long. Okay, if you're on a buy, of course it makes sense that you should liquidate your positions right now, close your positions, and position yourself for sell sell trade. That's if you're trading intraday. Okay. Now, for us swing traders, okay, of course, our buyers for the long term, going into from the second quarter, going to the third quarter, we're actually looking more bearish for the US dollar. Okay, without further much ado, let's dive into the chart and see what the DXY have for us. So our first order of business here is the DXY. Okay, our first order here is the DXY. So we can see that what we want to see is this. Okay, you can see, from our arrangements. Okay, we start with the fundamentals, and the next place we go to is the monthly time frame. So now on the monthly time frame, the DXY is actually buying. Okay, you can see that it is going up. It's actually trending upwards. Okay, so on the monthly, we have a buy. On the monthly, the DXY is a buy. Okay, and then on the week, so we'll go to the weekly. Okay, we go to the weekly. The DXY is also a buy. We can see that on the weekly, the DXY is bearish because, as you can see, we've eliminated the bullish trend line going upwards, and we've also eliminated a demand zone right here. Okay, so we are bearish, on the weekly. So on the weekly, we have a bearish bias on the weekly. And then so we go to the daily now. On the daily, we have what? On the daily, we're also bearish on the daily. Okay, if you can see how price is moving up and down, up, down, higher lows, lower lows, and going forward. So now we can see that we connected a trend line, a bearish trend line coming down here all the way to this point here. Okay, so it's established that on the daily, we are actually having a bearish order flow going to the downside. So we go to the 4 hour, of course. We go to the 4 hour. We can see that the 4 hour is also bearish. So on the daily, we have shorts. On the 4 hour, the DXY is also short. Okay, so now the thing is this. Okay, now from last week, we've actually been seeing some bearish evidence on the DXY. All right, even though, let's go back to the weekly. We can see that we took out this demand zone on the weekly here. We took out the demand zone on the weekly here. This demand zone right here, this purple area. We took it out. Okay, so that zone have been eliminated, meaning that on the weekly we are bearish, just like we've established here on our sheets here. Okay, so we go down to the weekly again. So, but now this is what I want to draw your attention to. Okay, we should look at, okay, for those of us who trade on smaller time frames, like from the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and the 15 minutes going downwards. Okay, we'll see that the weekly is giving us some bullish momentum going to the upside, because as you can see, we have some liquidity in this area here, some internal liquidity. So what I suspect is that price may give us some bullish push to the upside, all right, before going down to realign with the monthly time frame and then go up. Okay, price may also drop to this level here on the monthly. Okay, price may actually drop to this level also before going up. But of course, like I say, okay, we don't assume things in the market here. I keep saying this, we don't assume things in the market here. We only react. So whatever price gives to us is how we are going to react. Okay, so going to the daily time frame. Okay, now it will be established if at all price gets to this point here. Can we see this supply zone, weekly supply zone right here? Okay, now if price comes to eliminate this zone, if price breaks this momentum trend line here, this bearish trend line, if price breaks this trend line on the weekly and eliminates this zone, then we are bullish. okay, on the weekly. But as long as price remains under this zone here and remains under this zone, that's from here. If price does this, okay, and doesn't eliminate this zone, then we are still bearish on the weekly. Okay, so we'll be looking at the lower time frame to see how price move. If price will be coming back to this point here before going down, we are going to see what will happen in the coming week. Okay, so we actually have some bullish momentum, some bullish volatility to the upside in the previous week. So we may see price making some advanced movements, going up, going down on the daily, coming this direction. Okay, however, on the 4-hour also, we can see that price is actually bullish on the 4-hour. Okay, you can see that price has eliminated this zone right here. Okay, price has eliminated this zone right here. So now the thing is that the reason why I mentioned earlier that the 4-hour is still bearish is because my main focus for the 4-hour is actually this zone right here. Okay, this zone right here. Okay, now if price eliminates this zone, okay, here, up here, then we can now conclude that yes, the 4-hour is bullish. Okay, if price takes out this zone, you can actually now say, okay, the 4-hour is bullish. But until then, we still keep eye on price action to see how far price is able to tell us what it's going to do. Okay, because we actually have another zone right here. Okay, our price have actually eliminated this zone, but I want price to confirm to me that yes, I want to go up. Okay, and that will be eliminating of this zone right here. Okay, so going into this week, all right, to be looking for bullish evidences up to this weekly supply area before price goes down again. Before price heads down, that's from here. Sorry. We'll be looking at this area. Okay, this area right here. Price may come into this area before going back to come to this monthly demand zone before going up. So like we established, okay, like we've established on our sheets, okay, that the monthly is long, the weekly is short, the daily is short, the 4-hour is short, of course. But like I said, on the 4-hour again, that will wait for price to come and eliminate this zone right here, this zone here. Okay, before I'll be fully convinced that yes, the 4-hour is bullish. All right, so let's see what price have for us again on the Euro USD. Okay, so of course we all know that the Euro USD is a flip of the DXY. Okay, so now our most obvious zone on the Euro USD is this zone right here on the monthly. Okay, so we're looking for price to actually drive into this zone right here before going down. So we're actually bearish, we're still bearish in the Euro USD for the monthly time frame. Okay, so then we come to the 4-hour, we come to the weekly. We come to the weekly here. Okay, so you can see that price, you can see what price is doing right now. You can see that price is actually at a weekly supply zone right here. Okay, so here price is actually bullish on the weekly because you can see price taking out this last supply zone right here and also breaking momentum trend line on the weekly right here. Okay, so we are bullish on the weekly. All right, so we come here and say weekly we are long. Let's copy this and bring it here. Okay, so weekly we are long, and then on the daily also On the daily, what do we have on the daily? We can see price making upward movements. Okay, so until price comes to until price has actually broken this momentum trend line. But of course, I like to see two evidences. Okay, I like to see two things happen: break of this bullish trend line, and also price coming to eliminate this zone right here. I want price to come and eliminate this zone right here before I will consider this time frame, that's the daily time frame, bearish. But for now, let's look at it as it's being neutral. But of course, because it's still bullish and it has not eliminated this zone here, we still consider the daily time frame bullish. All right. So the daily time frame is bullish, and of course we go to the 4-hour also. We go to the 4-hour. What's happening here? All right. So I think the 4-hour is also having that vibe of bearishness. But like I said, we'll be looking at price action to tell us what price wants to actually do, because I can see two zones here. Okay, one has been eliminated, which is right here. One demand zone here has been eliminated. This demand zone right here has been eliminated. So price may push further down to this point here. Price may want to do this on the Euro USD. That's come down, go up. Price may want to do this before going up. So I will only consider the 4-hour completely bearish if we eliminate this zone right here. Okay, if price comes down, okay, break this zone and keeps on going down, then we can say the 4-hour is bearish. But for now, I still maintain that the 4-hour is bullish. Okay, so that's it for the Euro USD. So let's go to the pounds USD. Okay. So now we come to the pounds USD. Okay, so also almost the same thing with the Euro USD. Like I said, even the pounds USD is also another flip pair compared to, that's the JPY. Okay, it's also a flip of the DXY. Sorry, the DXY, not the JPY. All right, so looking at this, of course, this is a very easy pick. We know that, okay, price actually trending downwards. Okay, so on the monthly for the pounds USD, we have a sell. That's the monthly is bearish for pounds USD. Oh, remember this, we didn't update this one. Okay, so on the monthly, we have the pounds USD to be short, and then we go to the weekly also. So what I'm looking at the monthly here is for actually price can actually have a reversal in one of these areas going downward. So until on the monthly, until price eliminates this zone here, this particular zone up here, okay, we still consider the monthly time frame bearish. All right, so we go to the weekly here. Okay, so now on the weekly we have something very interesting happening on the weekly here. Because you know the pounds USD, the Euro USD, they are kind of sister pairs, and they like to do things together. They're like twins. They like to do things together. That's the Euro USD, the pounds USD. They like to do things together. But for this moment in time, we consider the pounds USD is actually kind of moving away from alignment, from correlation with the pair, with the Euro USD pair. So we have to be very careful with this one because it's a kind of tricky. However, okay, as supply and demand traders, okay, we know what to do. All right. So because what I see is that we have a zone here on the monthly. Okay. So we have a weekly nested zone inside of this zone here. Okay. And now we also have to pay attention to these candles that are being formed on the weekly time frame. Okay. The weekly time frame is actually bullish. Okay. The weekly time frame is bullish. Okay, because we have this here. This is what we have. Look at this here. From here, coming down, up, down, and then price went up. Price have actually eliminated this point here. Can you see this place here? Okay, price have taken out this high right here. So and it has created other weekly demand areas right here. This one. okay, and of course at the base right here also. All right, so price may want to come here for some time, take a, because if you notice something, price have actually been on an upward spree for some time. Okay, so what I suspect price doing is that price may want to come down like this, do this, and then goes up to the monthly, realigns with the monthly, and then continue downwards. But that's a long way down the line, okay? But we're looking at what to give us profits. In the interim, as swing traders, of course, want to catch some pips while the market is going up and down, of course, but always taking cognizance of multiple time frame analysis and your sequence alignments also. So when talking about sequence alignments, the monthly is bearish, the weekly is bullish. Okay, so until this trend line is broken on the weekly, okay, we remain bullish. All right, and then so now, like I said, I want to draw your attention to something on the weekly for some short sell position. Okay, let's look at, can you see this candle here? Okay, yes, we are supply and demand traders, but it doesn't mean that we won't pay attention to some things from retail trading. For instance, candlestick formation. Look at these candles here. We have one pin bar here, another pin bar here, and then another one also forming. That's like 3 pin bars. Those are some strong signs of rejection. I've seen supply and demand traders make some mistakes, okay, that actually cost them in the long run. Because look, you cannot, yes, you are a supply and demand trader, but you cannot ignore candlestick formation. This is 3 weeks of rejection right at this supply zone on the weekly time frame. Okay, so yes, the weekly is bearish. Okay, the weekly is bearish, but I will want to consider closing my position if I'm long here on the weekly. Okay, I will want to consider closing my position if I'm still long on the weekly. All right, and position for some sell trades, probably to this zone here, before the market goes up. All right, but like I said, we have to actually, keep that sense of always reacting to what the market is trying to tell us. Okay, we have to, watch what the market is saying, because you see these candles here. These are the language. These are the letters of the language of the forex market. They're trying to tell you something, so you have to pay attention to them. Okay, you cannot just say, okay, I'm supply and demand trader, so I don't do candlestick, I don't do support and resistance. But look, it may cost you something. All right, to pay attention to these things. Okay, so well, without deviating from the path we are. So like I said, we'll be looking for price to drop to this level, okay, and before continuing to the upside, coming to the monthly supply zone before going down with the monthly trend. Okay, so now we go down to the daily. Okay, we can see some strong rejection on the daily right here also. Okay, so on the daily, we can see a daily zone here nested in the weekly supply zone. Okay, so like I said, we'll look for some bearish evidence to this downside here on the daily also, and then we look for price to go up to realign with the monthly also. Okay, so what do we have now? We have what the weekly is. The weekly is long. All right, the daily is long, but of course, like I said, we are looking for some bearish evidences to the downside before we continue to the upside on the weekly and on the daily. So now we go down to the 4-hour. See, the beauty about multiple time frame analysis is that it tells you where you are located in the trend. Okay, yes, as in the monthly can be bearish, the weekly can be bearish, the daily can be bearish, but you have to pay attention to what price is saying at the moment. Okay, so you have to know, so that you can know when to hold your cards and when to fold your cards. Okay, but like I said, we keep our eyes on this chart here. Okay, that the monthly is bearish, the weekly is long, the daily is long. All right, so we have to keep coming back to this. All right, so just in case, maybe for instance, if you place a sell right here, if you place a sell on the daily now, maybe you're actually targeting this weekly demand zone. Okay, you should know that when you're getting to this zone, all right, you have to change your bias and realign yourself with the monthly time frame going up. Okay, so right now, So our next order of business, let's come here. Okay, so the 4 hour is also long. The 4 hour is long. All right. Do you talk about the 4 hour? Yeah, the 4 hour is still long until this momentum line is broken on the 4 hour. We remain long. Okay. So we have two things there. This momentum line eliminated, and then this zone right here also eliminated on the 4 hour. This one right here also eliminated on the 4 hour, and then going to the downside, and then price coming down all the way here. So if you're on a sell from this point here, if you're on a sell on this point here, from here, if you're on a sell from here, going down, you should know that once you approach this area, in fact this whole area here, you should exit your sells. All right, so now we go to the next currency pair. We go to the next currency pair, which is the USD card. Okay, we go to the USD card, which is the next currency pair. Okay, now the USD card from the monthly time frame. Okay, the monthly time frame, the USD card is bullish. Okay, because we can see the bullish trend line going upward. We can see this zone have not been eliminated. This zone is still holding. Okay, so the buyers are still in control. And then we go, so we come here, we say the USD card is long. Okay, and then we go to the weekly. We go to the weekly also. We go to the weekly. So now on the weekly, we can see that the weekly is bearish. All right, how do you know the weekly is bearish? It's what we do. This is what we do, man. This is what we do. So the idea is that the weekly is bearish, coming all the way to the monthly to realign with the monthly sequence before going to the upside. Okay. So the weekly is bearish. All right. So now I also want to draw your attention to something here. We can see this last candle here on the weekly. We can see a bullish move. All right. This is a bullish move. This is a bullish evidence. All right, on the weekly time frame. So price, what I suspect that price will do is this. All right, we have a weekly demand zone in this area here. So this is what I suspect that price will do. That price will want to buy into this zone right here. Okay, before coming down to the monthly and then going up. But look, all these are just analysis. All right. However, like I always say, we don't react. We don't assume we react. We allow price to tell us what it wants to do in the interim before we place our entries. Okay, but what is price telling us right now? Yes, the momentum trend line on the weekly is still bearish. Okay, but now we have this candle here. We have to respect this guy. We have to respect this guy right here. We have to respect this guy. Okay, so now on the weekly, the momentum is bearish, but of course, so know where you are in the trend. All right, know when to hold your trade and know when to exit your trade. So now we go to the daily. The daily says what? The daily. All right, now the daily is looking very interesting and actually looking for some very, very nice price action to the upside here also. Okay, you can see that price did the whole of this on the daily. All right, coming all the way down here and all the way down here. So now I'm looking for price to come and for me to actually for me to confirm that yes, price actually is going to be bullish on the daily time frame. We need this zone to be eliminated and this momentum trend line to also be eliminated. Okay, probably price will do this, eliminate the bearish trend line here, come up here, eliminate this, then we can say that okay, we are bullish on the daily. But however, given what we have right now, we are actually bearish on the daily also. So we come to our charts here, we say okay, the weekly is short, just like we've established. The weekly is short, the daily is short, and then the 4 hour, then we go to the 4 hour to see what's happening on the 4 hour. All right, Now on the 4-hour, this is also tricky. Okay, now price have actually eliminated this high right here on the 4-hour. Price have eliminated this high right here on the 4-hour. Okay, so this is our first signal that yes, we are becoming bullish on the 4-hour. However, I want price to come and eliminate this place, this zone here, before I'll certify that okay, I'll be confident that yes, price I've gotten a guarantee that price want to head to the upside. So that's I want to see price doing this. Okay, so once price eliminate this zone here, I can see that okay, yes, we are actually bullish on the 4-hour right now. Then we can look for some position kind of trade to enter the market. All right. So for those of you that are actually under my mentorship program, we actually know what to do. We know what we are looking for to either go bearish or go bullish in this trade. However, so now I've also established that okay, we have the 4-hour to be bearish here. Okay, so this is our chart. This is going to be our telescope for the coming week on the DXY, the Euro, that's the Euro USD, the Pounds USD, and the USD card. Okay, so now let's now go to the yen basket. But of course, anytime we want to look at the yen basket, so let's look at two things here. We look at the Nikkei, and then we also look at the yen basket because they go together. All right, so we come here. The Nikkei, what's the Nikkei saying? Okay, from the monthly time frame, we don't waste much time here. So we can see that the monthly time frame is bullish. Okay, so we're actually looking for more buy positions on the Nikkei. So the Nikkei is bullish. Okay, then now we go to the weekly. We can see that price took off from this zone here. All right, price took off from this zone here. So we also maintain that the weekly on the Nikkei is bullish. Okay, we maintain that the weekly is also bullish and going to the upside. And then so we also look at the daily. What is the daily saying? So now the daily is also bullish. All right, so we have bullish evidences going up to the upside also on the daily. Okay, and then we go to the 4-hour also. The 4-hour is also bullish. So we all have, so all the time frames are aligned and they're all bullish. So this is actually an easy analysis for us. Okay, then the next pair I want to look at is the JPY. Of course, I actually forget to mention that from the fundamental standpoint, okay, from the fundamental standpoint, we are actually bullish on the Nikkei. Okay, we're actually bullish on the Nikkei from the fundamental standpoint. So anytime we want to trade the yen basket, of course, which is the either the AUD JPY, the pound JPY, we must always look at what the yen basket is saying. That's the JPY index. All right, so what do we have here? If you look at what is happening here on the monthly, you can see that price has been going downwards. Price have been going down. Okay, this is what price have been doing, coming down and up to this point here. All right, so on the monthly, we can see that price actually have been reacting to this zone here. Okay, price have been reacting to this zone here, but it has made several attempts to actually break this supply zone here on the monthly, but it has not succeeded. Okay, so now what we want to do is this, to wait for price to actually, if at all we want to go bullish on the JPY, we have to wait for price to eliminate this zone right here. Okay, eliminate this zone and also eliminate this bearish trend line. But as long as price remains under this trend line, this bearish trend line, okay, we will maintain our bearish bias. All right, so now this is what I'm trying to bring to your attention. That look, the Nikkei and the JPY index are actually inversely correlated. Okay, so mostly if the Nikkei is buying, the JPY index will be selling. That's the yen basket will be selling. All right, so just keep that at the back of your mind. So you can actually pick one and analyze. Whatever you analyze on one, you just flip it for the other one, and you're going to get the similar results. Okay, so for those who have been following me, okay, you know that I've actually showed you these things, in details, just like we've discussed in the past. So now we go to the weekly. So we can see that the weekly also is bearish. The weekly is bearish, okay, because can you see this here? Can you see this weekly zone? This weekly zone right here. Okay, this weekly zone right here have not been eliminated. This zone right here have not been eliminated, and we're still under the weekly, under this trend line also. So the weekly is still bearish. And then so we'll go down to the daily. Now the daily is a very tricky one. Okay, so the daily here, we're waiting for the daily to actually eliminate this zone right here. This is the daily bullish momentum trend line. So now the daily is bullish right here. Okay, so we come here. Okay, what did we? Okay, we established this to be. They're all longs, long, 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 and then for the yen baskets, all right, the yen is gonna be short. It's short. The weekly is also short. The daily is. I want to maintain a neutral bias on the daily because the daily is not too clear. But however, okay, what I'll do is that I'm going to maintain this as neutral. I have my reason why. Okay, but the thing is that this daily is actually tricky. You understand? The daily is actually tricky. Okay, because this 4-8 is tricky. This is where the original move starts from. Okay, this is where the original move starts from. Okay, if at all I'm going to be bullish on the daily, I want price to actually eliminate this zone here. To actually eliminate this zone. But the thing is, if you present this chart to a lot of supply and demand traders, they may actually tell you that the daily is bullish. Okay, they may tell you that the daily is bullish. All right. So, but like I said, I would like to maintain a neutral bias. All right. So I can say I am 70% bullish here and 30% neutral, because if I'm going to maintain if I'm going to actually maintain a bullish bias or a bearish bias, I want price to come and break this, to come and eliminate this zone, and I want price to come and eliminate this zone to have that confidence that yes, the daily is actually bullish. Okay, but until then, okay, so I'll be watching for price to do either of this, either to come and break this zone right here or break this zone right here. Then I can actually conclude what price is trying to do. So in the coming week, let's see what price action have for us, and then we're going to confirm what price is trying to do. So I'll update you as the market price action unfolds. Okay, let me just take all this out. Right here. And this. So now we go to the 4-hour also. What is the 4-hour saying? As for the 4-hour, there's no confusion whether it is bullish or bearish. The 4-hour is actually bullish. Okay, the 4-hour is bullish because you can see price action, of course, that's actually eliminated a lot of zones. So the 4-hour is actually bullish. So for me to also say that the 4-hour is going to be bearish, I want this zone eliminated here. This zone right here. I want this zone here to be eliminated. Once the zone is eliminated, and this, you can see this momentum trend line, it's also being respected on the 4-hour. Okay, so if price will actually go bearish, I want this place also to be eliminated and also eliminated. All right, going by the rules, actually the 4-hour is bullish. Okay, but for me to consider a trade, please don't mix this up. For me to consider a trade, I want price to actually eliminate this zone to give me the guarantee that yes, I'm bullish, or eliminate this zone. All right, to give me the confidence that I'm bullish or bearish at this point here. Okay, so price action is going to give us that information in the coming week. So like I always say this, okay, I always say this, you react to price action. All right, you don't assume, you don't enter your trades on assumption. You only enter your trades on reaction based on our trading rules. Okay, so now going forward, now we've established all this on the JPY basket. So I want to maintain a neutral stand also here. Let me maintain a neutral stand. All right. So let's see, maybe by Wednesday, Thursday, let's see what the markets have for us. Then we can come and update this sheet right here. So look, let's not make this video too long. All right. So all you have to do is this. Once this guy here is giving you this information, all you have to do, you go to the JP to the yen, to that's the yen basket related pairs like the GBPJ, that's the pounds JPY, the AUD JPY, NSD JPY, and all those related pairs. All right, and then do the opposite. Okay, so for JPY pair, if you have a long here, if you have a short on yen baskets, here is gonna be long. This is gonna be long. This is gonna be long also. All right. So now something interesting. Let's go to the JPY basket now. Let's go to the GDP USD. What does it have for us? So you can see that the GDP USD, I've actually been holding this trade for about 4 weeks now. I entered the market when the market was at this area here. I entered the market from here, right here. I think it must have moved about 200 plus pips right now. Let me see. We can always confirm that. What do we have right here? Yeah, about 600 pips. Okay. All right. So I've been holding a trade. I've been holding a buy right from this place here. Okay. I've been holding a buy right from here. Okay. If you are in our mentorship committee, you will see this. In our mentorship group, you will see this trade. We are still holding this trade up to now for 4 weeks. Like I said, here in Swing for Pips, we swing and chill. And please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also like this video. Okay, so let me take this out. So on the monthly, like we've established here rightly, that we are long on the monthly. And then on the weekly also, because we are still above this momentum trend line on the weekly, we are also long on the weekly here. Because you can see what price did here. Price dropped. Okay, price dropped here. Okay, went up. You can see that I took out this zone here. So we are still bullish on the weekly. You can see a nested zone. Let me bring out this nested zone on the weekly time frame. There's a nested zone right here on the weekly. So you can see that price is actually making an upward movement. So for me, I'll be looking to exit this trade at around this point here, right here. That's my target. So we still have about how many pips to the upside? About 1,100 pips to this upside here. Okay, so I'll be looking for more buy opportunities to the upside. All right. So now we'll go to the daily. You can see that the daily is also making some bullish movement to the upside. All right. So now the thing is this: just because we are in a kind of ranging market on the daily here, I'm very careful about giving a bias about this. We can see that the market is actually ranging somehow on the daily. Okay, but now our bullish bias actually coming from the monthly and the weekly time frame. Okay, because I actually took this trade from the monthly time frame. That's why I'm holding it. But if you are going to enter from the weekly or from the daily, okay, I would advise that you wait for price to come and eliminate this zone right here on the daily. All right. Okay. So of course we all know that the higher time frame always wins. All right. So wait for this zone to be eliminated, and then we can add some more positions going to the upside. All right. So now we go to the 4-hour. So the 4-hour is very clear here on the 4-hour that the 4-hour is actually bullish. Okay, we can see what price is doing. you can see what price is doing here on the 4-hour. Okay, you can see that price came here. You can see all that. Okay, so price came and eliminated this zone right here. All right, price eliminated this zone. So this one is a given that, okay, yes, we're actually bullish on the 4-hour. There's no confusion right here. Okay, there's no confusion right here. All right. So we come to our sheet and update this. So I'm going to maintain a neutral bias here as on the daily, on the 4-hour, I'm actually long. All right. So now let's go to the next pair, which is the AUD JPY. Go to the AUD JPY. Okay. So as for the AUD JPY, we're also having the same concern here on the AUD JPY. You can see that the monthly is bullish. All right, there's no contention here. The monthly is actually still bullish, even though we've eliminated this bullish momentum trend line. Okay, because this zone have not been eliminated right here. This zone right here have not been eliminated. All right, so we still maintain our bias to the upside on the monthly. Okay, so we go down to the weekly. So we have the same scenario playing out on the weekly. Now, looking at the weekly, okay, the weekly here is actually bearish. Okay, the weekly is bearish. You see this momentum trend line here coming down. The weekly is actually bearish. But since I'm a swing trader, I took my position right from here, right from this place here. I bought the whole of this zone. I bought the whole of this zone on the monthly because the monthly is my chief, is my commander in chief. All right, the monthly tells me what to do. The monthly is my commander in chief. It is my curve time frame. Okay, those of us in the mentorship group know what I'm talking about. All right, so now go down to the weekly. Now for the weekly is bearish. Okay, come here now. So the monthly here is long. Okay, the weekly is still bearish. All right, why is the weekly bearish? Because we have a bearish momentum trend line that is still being maintained. It has not been violated. All right, and then also we also have this zone right here on the weekly, right here. Okay, that have not also been eliminated. Until this zone here, until this supply zone is eliminated, we are still bearish. So price may still want to do this. Okay, before going to the upside. But however, like I said, we only react in this market. Okay, so price is actually at a point of decision on the AUD JPY. Let's see what will happen this week. Okay, if price is going to eliminate this zone here. So if price eliminates this line, if price eliminates this trend line and also this zone, then we can now say that for sure that yes, we are bullish. But until then, we are bearish. So for here, it's short, and then now we go to the daily. We go to the daily. So the same thing applies on the daily here. So this trend line from the weekly also applies to the daily. Until it is eliminated, we are actually still bearish. Okay, because now why am I saying this? Because on the monthly, we established that it's monthly, and the monthly is the commander in chief. The monthly commands every other time frame below it. So going forward, we're looking for bullish evidence to actually eliminate this zone. Once this zone is eliminated, then we can now look for buying opportunities to the upside. Okay, so we go to the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour time frame is bullish. All right, the 4-hour time frame is bullish. Okay, we have some very good evidence to the upside that it is bullish. All right. So, of course, like I said, I also want to maintain a neutral stand here until I'll maintain a neutral stand on the 4-hour until I see this zone here also being eliminated. So, here is short. Here, I'm going to put neutral. The neutral bias here also. All right. So, This is what we have for the yen basket. Okay, this is what we have for the yen basket. So now going forward also to we're going to go forward to look at the CHF pairs. All right. Now, fundamentally speaking, the CHF is actually bearish. Fundamentally speaking, all right. So we go to the charts and see what the charts have for us. Okay. Okay, sorry. The CHF is bullish. That the CHF index is bullish. All right. Not sorry. I actually made a mistake. It's bullish. Okay. We can't forget that on the monthly time frame we have a bullish bias. All right. On the monthly time frame. Okay. Same thing applies also to the weekly. The weekly we're also bullish. All right. The daily. We're also bullish on the daily, and also on the 4-hour we are bullish. So as for this pair here, that's the Swiss dollar index. We are long on the monthly, on the weekly we are long, on the daily we are long, on the 4-hour we are long. Okay, so now what to do is that we go to the card CAD. All right, so looking at the monthly here, we can see that we are on a bearish trend. We're on a bearish downward spree, selling on the, so the monthly is selling, as we can see this. All right, there's no confusion right here. This is actually bearish. Okay, this is purely bearish. All right, so the monthly is bearish. Actually skip that. The weekly, so we go to the weekly. The weekly is actually giving us bearish vibes also. So we can see that the weekly is also bearish until this zone here is eliminated. Until this zone right here is eliminated, we are still bearish. Okay, and then on the daily also, we also have the same bias on the daily, because we put on a momentum trend line to the downside right here. You can see that the trend is still bearish, so we'll be looking for selling opportunities. So weekly is short, this is also short, this daily is short, and then on the 4-hour it is also short for us on the 4-hour. Okay, you can see price actually coming into this zone here, so we're actually looking for a sell opportunity from the card right here going to the downside. All right, until this zone is eliminated on the 4-hour, until this zone here is eliminated on the 4-hour, we remain bearish. Okay, so let's go to the next pair. Here. So here also, sorry, let me update this. We have this to be bearish. All right, so now looking at this also, we have this. So the pound CHF. Okay, let's quickly go through that one. The pound CHF. Now the pound CHF, we are having some bearish evidence to the downside also. All right, there's no contention here. Sorry, let me do this again. All right, we have this, the whole of this happening here. All right, eliminated, and then we have this right here. So price may further push down here, but let's be careful. This one is also tricky. The reason why I picked this pair is because I want you to be very careful here. You can see price giving us a rejection from this point here. All right, so until this zone here is eliminated on the monthly, all right, we actually remain bearish on this pair. All right, so now on the weekly is also bearish. Okay, the weekly is also bearish. Well, I also look at this pair as being in a range. This is a range. This is a range. All right. So this is a range, right? So I'd rather stay away from this pair or stay away from this pair. Okay, that's why I did not highlight it earlier. I'll stay away from this pair until I see price breaking either from this side here going down, until I see price breaking here or price coming to break here. Right? For now, I'm staying away from this pair right here. Okay, so then we go to the NZDCHF. The NZDCHF also is a very clear trade. It's a very clear trade also. So we'll be looking at this. All right, so you can see that on the monthly, price have been going down, have been trending downwards. Okay, and then we now have this here on the monthly. We have this on the monthly. We have this zone here on the monthly, and we also have this zone right here on the monthly. So price has been going downwards, trending downwards. So we go down to the weekly. Also, the weekly is also bearish. Why do I say it's bearish? Because if you put this trend line down here like this, so until this trend line is eliminated and this is eliminated, we are still bearish. So we'll be looking for price action to do this, to do the whole of this, coming down here and then coming down here. Okay, then on the daily time frame also, we also have the same action happening here. We're also bearish. So going from here, bearish, bearish. On the daily, we're also bearish. And then so now looking at this, okay, so we're looking for bearish price action from this zone here on the daily, coming all the way down. Okay, so in this case, the 4 hour is also bullish because we have this zone already taken out. All right, we can see what price is doing here. You can see price came here. All right, took out this low here to this point here, came down, go up. So this one was eliminated, going up. So we have some bullish action to this point here. So now we want price to come to this place, give us some entry reasons, and then we sell all the way to the down, to the bottom here. So we're actually looking for sell positions here also. Okay, so now looking at this sheet, all right, we can see that our best trade may be coming from the pound CHF, all right, because you can see that here all the time frames are aligned. They're all telling us short, 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 short. All right, so this is actually a sure. I don't like using the word sure in this market because nothing is a given. There's no certainty in this market. All right, we always react. All right, we wait for price to show us its hand, and then we act accordingly. All right, so now the thing is this: going into the week, I'll be updating you guys to see what price have for us. Okay, so we are going to be reacting to what the market is giving us going forward. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this weekly review with me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and like this video. Click on your notifications so that you can actually get notified when we have this kind of reviews in the week. All right, so now don't forget to always swing and chill. All right, and have a blessed week. See you some other time. Bye.